joining, um, joining our platform to celebrate our profession together. It's so nice to see everyone. So to start off the day, I'd like to kindly invite our chairperson, Thomas Joseph, to provide opening message.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Warm welcome today. And we have got a wonderful panel of speakers today. And my special thanks to our executive committee, especially to Binu and Vishal for all their efforts in arranging this. I wish you all a very happy Social Workers Day today. Although it was a few days before, we are formally celebrating it today due to our own circumstances. Social worker is a very powerful profession in UK with a lot of responsibilities attached to this as well. One of my professors had said when I started my social work career or course that social workers are human engineers, and I feel this is the case. This is the day for us to reflect and cherish about this noble profession we are in and how we can use this in order to support people who really depend on us. While being proud to be a social worker, at the same time, we should remember that we have a duty to protect the rights of our service users. And I would also like to use this opportunity to give a little bit of an update on our committee. This committee has taken office in January this year. And I would like to thank our previous committee for the wonderful work that they have done. And we are trying to build on that work that has been done by the previous committee, which I was also part of it. And special thanks to those who are not part of this committee, who are part of the last committee. We have already completed a session last month, which was our first session, which was to reflect about social work in UK, making a comparison between how we were to practice if you are in India and in UK, the difference between the thinking patterns. And thanks to Dimple for doing this session. We have planned for our next session on the 29th of April, and we will be continuing with our sessions in future. We do have a very good resource team led by Mr. Biju Anthony. And if you need any support, please feel free to approach them. I'm sure there are people with different backgrounds working in the different areas, mental health, children, adult, and from all the walks of social work in the UK. And we are also in the process of updating our website. We have already done some actions. We will be moving forward with the further actions to make it up to date and also more user-friendly as well. We have taken control of it from already it was back in India, we were managing it, but now it is being moved to a web server in UK. So it is going to be easier for us to work on. We are in the process of developing a YouTube channel, and the initial work has been already started, but we will be doing the further work. And once it is up and running, we will share and we will let you know the details of it. The membership of the forum is growing. And of course, we want to make it more of a professional work, a professional forum, which can benefit the members who are already existing and practicing here, as well as who are looking for jobs and work in UK. There is a plan to publish a book on social work in England or in UK, and it is being led by our former chairperson, C.B. Thomas, and he is in the process of it. He's just back in the country from his holidays, and he would be updating us, the committee, soon about the progress made on it. We are trying to support our existing members as well as members who are coming in, newly coming into the country in order to practice social work here. And we are here to support. If you need any time, any support with your interviews or with your registration and any other process, please feel free to approach our resource team. As I said, it is a resource team with wide range of expertise and skills. We have been networking with the different bodies, which we have been developing through the last 2 years with the Social Work England, which is our primary registering body in UK, with the INPSWA, and we have been also networking with the social work network professionals in India and also with the CABs, and we have been many times in touch with the Dr. Varghese, we know that. So we have been in touch with University of Brunei, and our aim is to extend this and maybe to think about having more networking with different other universities in UK and other professional social work forums. So that is where we would be able to get more food into making it as a professional organization. Last but not least, we are also thinking about what we can contribute back to the society. And as part of this, we are also thinking about the community and outreach support. We have not had time to discuss further on it. And as an executive committee, we would be discussing more about it, what support we can give back to the community. That is community as a wider in UK, as well as, the Indian diaspora, especially the Malayali community, because we have got a lot of resources, not just financial alone or money alone that we can support. There are different other ways we can support. So we will be doing that soon. And I would also like to make an apology today because we were expecting to have one of our speakers, Dr. Shashi Tharoor, today to address us. Unfortunately, he had agreed to give us a message today. Unfortunately, we are all aware the circumstances in India, what is going on with the party he is in at the moment. And therefore, the emergency situation has made it impossible for him to give us a message today, address us today. However, he has sent his well wishes and apologies and promised that he would be addressing us one of, in the coming times. So we can hope that he would come and speak to us one day. Sorry, and once again, apologize for this, but it is beyond our control. Thank you and welcome. And I hand over to Arminta to carry on.
Thank you, Thomas. So up next, I now welcome our Public Relations Officer, Binu, to introduce our first guest speaker. So over to you, Binu.
Thank you, Arminta. Good morning, all. Thanks to Professor Shajahan for accepting our invite and agreeing to be part of the special day today. Introducing Professor Shajahan. He is working with TIS. He was formerly the Dean, Social Protection, Dean's Students Affairs Chairperson, Center for Community Organization and Development Practice, and Chairperson of South Asia Center for Studies in Conflicts, Peace, and Human Security at TIS. He is currently the Vice President of International Council on Social Welfare and represents INPSWA at the Task Force on Global Agenda for Social Work and Social Development. Thank you, Professor Shajahan. It's a real privilege for us to have you on board today. Thank you. Over to you.
All right. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to come and interact with all of you. Namaskaram. All of you, coming together to celebrate the World Social Work Day is an excellent opportunity for us to deliberate on some of the critical issues which probably all of us are somewhere connected, but sometimes, it needs people to come together and discuss, and then there will be much more actions which is coming in. So first of all, let me wish the Executive Committee and thank the Executive Committee of UK INPSWA Forum to invite me to this very, very important session, and wishes to all social workers, social work educators, social work students of social work programs, a very, very happy social work day. When I'm talking about, I was invited to talk about this, I remember the discussions we were having in the Global Agenda Task Force. I'm part of the Global Agenda Task Force for Social Work and Social Development, representing ICSW. Even though I was member of ICSW and IASSW, I was representing the Global Agenda Task Force. We were discussing about multiple issues when we were talking about the third pillar of the global agenda. We were talking about one of the critical issues which we need to confront is to deal with the challenges to the very idea of diversity. How do we see this diversity, and even are we really addressing this issue of diversity? Are we really doing enough? Or quite often in popular parlance, something which is quite often being discussed in dealing with diversity is intercultural competence. Is that sufficient enough, or are there more things to do? Particularly, that's where in the Global Agenda Task Force, we were looking at connecting this idea of diversity to joint social action. It needs the kind of changes happening in today's world need a collective effort. Individual social workers doing their own bit in working with clients or groups is not sufficient enough. There is a need for the world to come together at a time when the society is divided on various identities. The world is getting polarized due to the war in Ukraine or many other things happening around the world. The challenges to diversity is coming in as a very, very important dimension, which we need to confront as social workers. Quite often we engage with issues of diversity in different contexts. But at the same time, as social workers, I think I remember Thomas sir was mentioning about the power of social work, the social work going beyond the practice of, they are social engineers or social, the people who could actually make a significant change in the society is something which we need to be very much aware about. How do we engage with these issues of diversity? So let me just, take you through some of the, I don't know, are you able to see the screen?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. So I thought probably I will talk about a little bit about the changing times. We are running through a changing time, and the changing time is posing significant challenges for the social work profession and every social workers in the country today. So why do we talk about diversity? We have been working with people having individual probably issues, challenges, and various deficits in terms of achieving their potentials. We have necessary skills to deal with those individuals. We have necessary theoretical framework to understand how do we deal with those challenges and help individuals and groups and communities. But what we are increasingly finding is a kind of challenges which is before us. We need to celebrate. We need to celebrate this diversity, and that's our strength. If you look at a country like India, the kind of minimum 22 languages and many more dialects and identities, ethnicities, but still we are a thriving democracy, and we are able to come together and put a very, very formidable economic as well as democratic power to the world outside. But there are challenges inside. So we are, in a way, celebrating this diversity. We are respecting this diversity. We are finding values in those differences. Differences are not, while introducing, they were mentioned about my work on, peace and conflicts and human security. While we were talking about, in my classes on peace and human security, I essentially start the session with asking about, is differences a challenge? Is differences a problem? Is differences is an asset? I would like to assume, and so as the case with everyone else, I guess, differences and diversity is an asset. Is an asset because we bring in multiple viewpoints, we bring in multiple ideas, multiple ways of handling things, and think together and collectively understand the social realities. So in that sense, what we essentially talk about when we are talking about differences is we are essentially understanding a person's different circumstances in which people are living in. How human well-being is significantly and inherently dependent on the situated realities in which people are living. How those intersectionalities of identities play out. When I talk about intersectionalities, I'm sure all of you are very much connected with this term. We understand people who are in need, who are in difficult circumstances, they have multiple layers of marginalities, multiple layers of challenges, being it a woman from a tribal community or a person from a landless laborer from a particular community, or for that matter, an urban migrant who is working in urban metropolitan cities because of his identities of regional identity, religious identity, caste identity, and gender identities. And we also need to look at these gender binaries, which are quite often creating troubles for people of non-conforming, binary non-conforming identities. So we have a huge set of issues. We have a huge set of promises, and set of promises which we are having is also creating huge set of vulnerabilities. This is something which we need to look at. You could see 3 pictures, and I'm sure one picture is quite common to all of you. The one on the right, lower right, which is quite often talked about these days. The chat GPT. I'll come to that. The first picture which you are seeing is a big infrastructure project in the city of Mumbai, which is coming up. This is called Mumbai Coastal Road Project. And this project is a 11.8 kilometer stretch on the coastal areas of Mumbai, which is connecting one end of the city to the another end of the city through the coastal belt. There are huge number of people who are dependent on the fishing activities in the sea. Their life is going to be affected by it. We have been consulted by the Bombay Municipal Corporation to prepare a compensation package and policy for them. So I'll talk about it a little later. So this kind of development projects impacting people is a common phenomenon today. On the lower side, you could see on the left side, you could see a robo. And this robo I found in Incheon Airport in Seoul, South Korea. When I was traveling there, I was sitting in the gate, and this robo comes in and delivers something to a person sitting there. And you have an application on your mobile, or you can log in and order anything from your mobile, and this robo will deliver it to you. And this robo is also, it was immediately after the COVID-19 pandemic, this robo, as it moves around in the airport, it also sanitizes the environment, it purifies the environment. So you have huge technologies. You have Chat GPT coming in, and I'm sure all of us are getting used to this. In November 2020, it came in, and now it's almost everybody is talking about it. When my daughter was going for examination, so she found this is interesting. So let me ask some questions to that. So the Chat GPT gave excellent answers. Are social work teachers going to be redundant in this, or teachers in general are going to be redundant in this, or are we able to utilize the challenges of today or opportunities of today and convert this into good ways of engaging with this reality? But at the same time, the technology providing solutions and considering that will provide solution is going to be a challenge. So the digital and the social, we have seen, I've interacted with, multiple times I visited UK, and I met with several social workers there. And during the pandemic, as all of you have been doing, we have converted much of the social interactions into digital platforms. And while what we have done quite often is that we digitize the social. We came into the into the digital platform, interact with our clients, and try and get the feedback from different sources, whatever actions we are doing. All of those things could be done in digital platform. Are we trying to replace the social with the digital? Then there is a challenge. Rather, I would assume that socializing the digital is much more important than digitizing the social. So I'll come back to that a little later. So what I'm trying to talk about is that in this digital world, I don't know, it's jumping. In this digital world, there are a whole lot of opportunities, but at the same time, a lot of challenges as well. If you could see the picture on my screen, today, in a world, in a 21st century, the whatever we are talking about as in terms of the achievements of the digital world or a transformed India, we still have people going into the drains and clean the drains and people get killed there because of the asphyxiation or poisoning. Why do we want to have persons, individuals going down into the drain and do this extremely, push them into extremely vulnerable situations? Don't we have technologies? We do have technologies. The picture on the other side, on the top, you could see a village which is being completely washed off by tsunami. And people are trying to make their, probably houses back into the action. I have visited several of these places. And these villages were completely, washed off. So as the case with, when I entered, in 1999, when I joined TISS as a junior faculty, immediately after a couple of months, I had to move to Orissa for dealing with, taking our students and some of the team members to the super cyclone localities. We have communities completely washed off. So people are living in extremely vulnerable situations. And maybe if you remember pandemic, you might remember the picture on the lower side, on the right lower side. This picture is immediately after the lockdown was announced, and people sitting in maybe 10 by 10 room in the city of Mumbai, the workers and maybe the families sitting, living together and going for work. They just come there to sleep. All of a sudden, they found themselves 24 hours stuck to this room. And they don't know what to do. They didn't have anything to eat. They didn't have anything to drink. They had to walk back to their villages, thousands of kilometers away. On the way, many people have died as well. So these are kind of challenges and vulnerabilities today we are facing amidst all kind of, technologies, all kind of, benefits which we have in the name of development. We have these kind of vulnerabilities. Now let's look at what social work offers in this situation. Now I would really like all of us to reflect on this, that the social work provides a possibility for engaging with the human well-being, and that human well-being is not just providing services. As opening remarks, in the opening remarks, we were talking about, social workers are social engineers. Social workers are people who are catalysts for the social change. When we talk about these kind of vulnerabilities, we must understand that empowerment and liberation of people, or enhancing the well-being of the people, is the core of social work. When we talk about ensuring this well-being, we cannot ignore the pictures we have seen a little while ago. Now, how do we put this into a kind of how do we put all these people into the center of our discourses? Rather than going into the methods of practice or various approaches to social work practice, we have very, very strong theoretical foundations or conceptual ideas about person in environment. And this person in environment is exactly what we are talking about when we talk about diversity. So the person in environment, the environment is the surroundings, is the kind of situated realities in which people are living. So what is that environment we are talking about? We are talking about an environment where people have to continue to do extremely undignified work situations, be it the manual scavengers, or for that matter, people working in extremely hazardous situations. We are talking about migrant communities living in cities, and you may have seen even in UK, there are people who are homeless, and those homeless people are providing just homes, or probably transitory support is not going to be sufficient. They live in absolute poverty. So how do we deal with this issue of poverty? Do social workers have a role to play in this? Or is it, in a country like UK, it is much more of a state's responsibility? And in a country like India, it's of course, it's a responsibility of the state, but at the same time, the huge number of people here, the sheer number of people living in poverty and hunger is beyond the remit of the state. So in that sense, social workers not being part of, essentially, unlike in UK, in India, social workers are not part of the state system. Of course, social workers work with the government, work with the policies, but at the same time, they are not as integrated as in UK or many other developed countries, where social workers become part of the state mechanism of social welfare. So when we are struggling with this kind of complex realities, where people are left with no choice but to mend for themselves in difficult situations and undignified situations, we need to put the people into the center of all discourses. And that's where something which we in the Tata Institute of Social Sciences, we talk about this as people-centered development. Any development, I'll come back to it with some more explanations about this. So we are putting the people at the center of any development, engagement, and development discourses. So this, in order to bring in this, we are essentially harping on the people in environment perspective. And this perspective is extremely important. It is important that the individual behavior cannot be understood adequately without consideration of the various aspects of the individual's environment. And that's a social, political, familial, temporal, spatial, all of those factors are important. So when we talk about environment, we need to consider all of these factors as well. So we need a very, very important comprehensive framework beyond considering, the problem as individuals' problem are more structurally created, structurally developed. So in that sense, we need a very, very clear approach, which will probably look at how to bring the people into the center of discussion. So we talk about this people-centered development, particularly in TISS, which we follow in almost all our field action projects, is comprised of these 5 different components. We look at awareness, we look at social mobilization, which is again a very important aspect of today's discussion about, we talk about this as joint social action. Participation, self-reliance, sustainability. We need to talk about this. We'll come back to it, how this is being operationalized. Now, currently, what I am working on, along with a few colleagues from India as well as from other parts of the world, we are looking at how do we bring social innovation ideas into addressing such complex realities, which includes basic needs of the people needs to be satisfied. We need to empower individuals and groups, and we also need to look at the social relations, how to change the social relations, because at the core of much of these vulnerabilities is a strained social relations. That's exactly where aspect of diversity coming in. So we were trying to see how this people-centered development and social innovation can be brought together. So we have the person in an environment framework of social work. We have the people-centered development where we put the people at the center. I'll explain this with some examples in a while. And we use the social innovation perspective where essentially looking at innovative ways to address complex realities by addressing, satisfying the basic human needs, empowering the individuals and social relations. So this is something which we are trying to look at and conceive as an idea called people-centered social innovation. I'll come back to it later. Now, how do we unpack this idea of diversity in the people-centered social innovation? We talked about multiple challenges, the challenges of technology, challenges of deprivation, challenges of marginalities which people are living in. And those challenges are also emanating from the diversity. Diversity, when I talk about, it's not just about people with different identities. Diversity and intersectionality of poverty, marginality, and various other factors. So this diversity is not just, being different. It is also comes with certain package, like the person who is going into the trade is not just a poor person. He's coming from a particular caste. And we need to understand this very clearly. We will find this everywhere. Wherever you find a person in extreme vulnerabilities, extreme poverty, you might be able to identify there are multiple layers of their identity, which is quite often the feminists would present it as an intersectionality. In all those kind of situations of marginalities, we find this intersectionality and diversity significantly posing challenges. So we need ways to understand this and create solutions for sustainable social change. And social innovation and people-centered ideas can provide solutions. I'll come back to it. Now, how do we, in terms of the way we are going to look at how do we deal with this? One of the 3 E's which I conceive as very, very important for operationalizing people-centered social innovation. One is empathy, which we are very much familiar. Am I audible and all okay?
Yes, Professor, you're audible. Yes.
Yeah. So empathy is very, very important dimension, which all of us talk about. Maybe we eat, drink, and sleep, talking about empathy, because that's the core of social work. And the second dimension which we need to understand is equity. I'll come back to each of these with some small examples. And finally, empowerment. If people are empowered to handle and deal with issues of vulnerabilities, then our job of as a social worker is more or less complete. So if we combine empathy, equity, and empowerment, we are going to make that goal of social transformation and social change much more meaningful. I'll just show you a very, very small video here. And this is completely from out of the context of India, but maybe somewhere you could look.
Sorry, Professor Shajahan, there seems to be no audio for the video.
I think there was some problem with the audio. Did you hear the audio?
No, we couldn't hear it.
Oh, you couldn't? Oh, okay. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Maybe the next I should be able to show you. Right. So, the reason why I showed you this, video, imagine a society which is, now Denmark is known as one of the, happiness capital of the world, right? So one of the ways of people remaining happy is, their own lifestyles. And I've been multiple times to Copenhagen and many other places in Denmark, and lifestyle, cycling is very, very important aspect of their life. Imagine a person who becomes old and not being able to cycle. What will happen? The person loses one of the very important aspect of the person's life. I'm taking you to completely a different world altogether now. The person is actually not being able to probably, cycle is a huge, kind of a loss. And, a lot of people who are in nursing homes, not able to do this after beyond a point in their age. When it becomes part of their life, how do we work on this? Providing assistive technologies for people living in nursing homes or old age homes, will that be sufficient? No. They're actually, when I was talking to people, they say that when we cycle, the wind in the face or wind in your hair is something which they really enjoy. Whether it is, winter or summer, spring, any point in time, the cycling is part of their life. But when you grow old, you can't do this. So that's where that's where I'll tell you how this empathy actually worked. I'm really I don't know how this audio can be put into the system. I'm able to hear, but it's not coming in. So let me just try this and tell me whether you are able to hear this. You able to hear this?
No, it's not working.
Oh, so how do we deal with this? Let me just try a bit, and then if not, then without the audio, we will have to do it.
Probably there are headphone symbols on your video if you want to undo those headphone symbols. So there is a volume, but it's going in the headphone.
Okay, it's going into the. All right, let me just use. Is it coming?
No,
Still,
no.
Is it okay?
there is no audio.
Oh. Not really? No?
No.
Still no, sorry.
We just let me just try.
Professor, we can't hear you either. Don't know why. No. Yeah, we could see you, can't hear you though.
Dr. Shajahan, we are unable to hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Okay.
perfect, thank you.
But I think this is audio is video from the video is
No, can't hear.
Your sound is breaking.
okay. Anyway, it's a very short.
I just added some pointers in the chat if that helps.
Um, All right. So the story is that this person Oleg Kasov, I went to this organization called Cycling Without Age. He has founded this because he has seen his father not being able to do this after a point in time in his life, and it was like learning to walk. Cycling was something like that for his childhood. But when his father became old, he couldn't do that. He could see his health getting deteriorated. Seeing this, he realized that there is something which we need to be, a situation need to be created. It is just the empathy which worked. And he went to a nursing home and wanted to take some of the inmates of the nursing home for a cycling. And the lady went inside and said that, well, that's a very good idea and people are ready. Then he started with 3 bicycles, tricycles, and started taking them for weekends or some time for them to just go for a coffee or meeting friends or just to have wind in their face. And now it is in 46 countries, cycling without ages is going on. A simple act of empathy, and which empathy which made them understand that this is what a person is going through. That's exactly what we talk about empathy. But and how empathy can have a huge impact in the lives of people, and which can transform lives of people and move across borders. He realizes extremely important, very, very small act of empathy from his side, taking his father and then going to the nursing home and then moving on to other places. And now it is almost 48 countries, cycling without ages is going on as a very, very important dimension. Now, the second dimension which I would like to talk about, equity. This is a place where I work with a small community in an urban slum, where the children from this community, the critical question which came to me is that why do poor having always a poor quality of education? They don't have teachers in their school. They don't have equipments to learn. They don't have probably, necessary teaching aids which people having resources are having access to. Why should poor people should have a poor quality of education? And we started working with scientists in Bhabha Atomic Research Center, which is very close to the Tata Institute of Social Sciences. Nearly 100 volunteers are ready today to work with these communities and giving them lessons and probably learning enhancement. This community learning center is currently working. You could see 2 of our social work students sitting with the children there and creating an environment where they can compete with the children of any other school. Now there are these volunteers from from Baba Atomic Research Center have developed several science kits so that they can take this education to the communities. And they said, we have free time, we want to use it for the social change. So they are coming on board. We did this. We are talking about equity here. We are talking about lack of access to educational opportunities, which poverty should not, be a problem for them to access quality education. We are trying to develop this as this initiative is called Merit Mumbai Education, Research, Innovation and Training. This is a field action project I'm currently engaged with. Now I'll come to the next idea of empowerment. I talked to you about the Mumbai Coastal Road project. This project, when it was being implemented, the people who are going to get benefited are the urban elite, because they will be able to zip through the city without having to go through the traffic or something like that. They will also have a lot of open spaces and recreation spaces created. But the people who are going to be affected by other fishing communities, their access to the sea gets limited. The people who do the hand picking and fishing and all, their livelihoods is almost permanently lost. What did we do with them? We worked with the Bombay Municipal Corporation and did a study, and the study was actually identified the impact it is having on coastal communities, and we developed a policy of compensation package, which even suggested 10 years income should be compensated for people who are permanently losing their income through this. So we worked with this, and we used sustainable development goals as a framework to say that we want the BMC to implement this project as the best and the first SDG compliant project, development project. And today, both the fishing community and the BMC are happy that this project is taking off. Otherwise, it was stalled by the fishermen, due to their strike. Now the project is going on because of this work which we did. So we did ensure that empowerment is a key factor. You cannot have a development project without empowering the local communities. So in this process where we are looking at how do we combine the knowledge, how do we combine the joint social action, how do we bring in act on diversity. Now our title of the celebration is respecting diversity. I would like to go one step ahead and say that beyond respecting diversity, we need to act on diversity. How do we ensure these diverse populations are essentially getting the benefit and their well-being is taken care of? Now, this has three dimensions. I would like to say the ontological dimension is that the diversity as a reality. The value dimension, or which is called as axiological dimension, empathy as a value. And the knowledge dimension, or the epistemological dimension, is a collective action as a practice knowledge. So we talk about individual empowerment, we talk about providing services. When we have the reality understood as a diversity as a reality and all its baggages of marginalities, you work with the idea of empathy is driving our mission, and we use collective action as a practice knowledge for dealing with these marginalities. We are in a way operationalizing people-centered social innovation. So this idea which we are talking about is we are trying to work on the theoretical frameworks as well as practice knowledge around this. Is essentially we are talking about epistemic justice, knowledge justice. This justice is that people have knowledge. Today, recently, I took a group of IAS officers for a training who came in for training in TISS. I took them to the Coastal Road project site. And today, the engineers of the Coastal Road project talks the language which we are talking. They say that fishermen have a wealth of knowledge. Earlier, they were never used to say they are all people who are creating trouble for us. They were nuisance for the BMC. Today, the engineers of the project talks about fishermen having a specialized knowledge. They are people, empathetic people who support you when you are having trouble in the sea. The fisherman comes and support you. So they talk a different language. So we influence a huge set of people through our collective action with them. So now I would end with this saying that social workers and social work practitioners and professionals have huge responsibility of providing not only justice, social justice, but also epistemic justice. Because one of my favorite, post-development theorists, Boaventura de Sousa Santos, he says that no social justice is possible without epistemic justice. And it is very, very important that we bring in knowledge, people-centered knowledge, and that need to be converted so that that will guide our social workers, that will guide us in taking further steps in ensuring that social work doesn't remain as an individually practiced profession, but helping us to reach out to the large section of the people in the society where we can make a difference in their life. So some of these publications recently which came out with are extremely relevant. We continue to work on this. I'm also going to come out with a book series with Springer on advances in social work. I expect that some of the social work practitioners also contribute to that book, because our practice knowledge is much more valuable with our experience in engaging with clients, experience in working with communities and groups. This knowledge should speak to the world. This knowledge should speak to the future social workers. And that's how we can do a kind of something called epistemic justice. Then we will be able to have social justice, goals of social justice achieved. Thank you very much. I stop this, my intervention here. Over to you.
Thank you, Professor Shajahan. I would like to invite our executive member Vishal to give a vote of thanks.
Thank you, Araminta, for the opportunity. Thank you so much, Professor P.K. Shajahan, for being with us here in the celebration of World Social Work Day as part of UK INPSWA Forum. Thank you, Professor Shajahan, for unpacking the idea of diversity in people-centered social innovation and knowledge. It's also about bringing together empathy, equity, and empowerment. That was so insightful through your slides. And thank you for this wonderful presentation too. As we know that the current year's theme is respecting diversity through joint social action. It stems from the People's Charter for a New Eco-Social World and recognizes that change happens locally through a diverse, leaderful communities. So how communities can make powerful actions that lead to inclusive social transformation. That your presentations was reflecting on the particular topic, and it was wonderful to see that. As a part of multiple organizations, committees, and forums, and various task force, for example, Global Agenda Task Force, you are able to share the aspect of addressing the diversity within that context. Are there sufficient discussions happening? It's a fundamental questions we should ask. And who should we stand with? The fundamental question is whether we have a stand at all, and how is it dispersed across the globe based on the context. And look at which framework social workers are placed, whether it is statutory or non-statutory, looking at UK and the comparison to India. A collective understanding, a collective action is what we require for celebration of diversities as part of social work. We should definitely take into consideration of the multiple layers of marginalities, addressing the intersectionality aspect in a way of digging deeper into the identity question, as what Professor rightly pointed out. The promises and vulnerabilities in the contemporary times was definitely explored, as well as a challenge of socializing the digital, as I think is a huge ambition as a matter of, as an aspect of social work practice and knowledge creation. So, as social workers and practitioners, academicians, and all, in the contemporary era, what we look forward for a perspective of enhancement of capabilities, well-being for all, and need for an insight into the person in the environment, as Professor told. What we think is that it is the amalgamation of local and global experience that has the potential to make significant transformation. I think as part of UK Malayali Social Workers Forum, this discussion by forums like us would definitely be a catalyst in achieving the objectives of social transformation by bringing together critical reflections in the social work knowledge and practice arena. Thank you, Professor P.K. Shajahan, for being with us once again. Looking forward for more such insightful sessions with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vishal.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Shajahan. So moving on, we have our next guest speaker. So I would like to welcome Dr. Varghese, who is the Secretary General for India Network of Professional Social Work Association. So Dr. Varghese, I kindly invite you to share your message.
Thank you so much. And greetings from India, especially from my institution, BCM College, Kottayam, and Kerala Association of Professional Social Workers, CAPS, and of course, the network of all associations in India, India Network of Professional Social Workers Associations. And I congratulate the UK Malayali Social Workers Forum for organizing this event. I think the last year also, our president of INPSWA has joined this program and shared his thoughts on this. Now, World Social Work Day, it's a celebration, whether you are in Kerala, India, or whether you are in the UK or America, wherever it is, it's a celebration. And what we are actually celebrating, celebrating our unity, our achievements, and of course our commitment to society. That is more important, that we are celebrating. And when we are our commitment to society, that is in maybe working with individuals, different groups, and addressing the problems in society scientifically. That's what we are celebrating, and feel proud that we are the most noble profession in the world working for the society. This observation of World Social Work Day do not have a long history. It is just having a very brief history only. But the themes we have been sharing over these years are highly relevant. Especially the last year's theme, we all remember, like Ubuntu, I am, therefore we are. One of the most beautiful message, which has been an eye-opener, not only for social workers, but to every individual in the society. And of course, this year's theme, respecting diversity through joint social action. And how come this diversity? Otherwise, we address the diversity because, as Shajahan sir clearly pointed out it, and he has explained it to the minute aspect. Individuals from different circumstances, different background, different culture, different economic situation. Yes, surely a person in environment truly matters. There are people deprived of their rights, unable to enjoy the life with others. All these are there. So as part of this Social Work Day, wherever we are, see, I have a very high respect to my very good friend, Professor Shajahan. And when he talked about some of his experiences, some personal field action project he is undertaking with some of the people near to his institution. So most of us social workers, we are, we work with some organization. Otherwise, we may be doing our own job and limiting ourselves there. But as a social worker, we must own some more responsibility. In the beginning, Thomas Joseph also mentioned this one. This day should remind us of our responsibility. And we should identify more individuals or more communities who we have not yet worked with and jointly work with them. When we talk about joint social action, it may be, when we start a social action, it is to address some of the social problems, some of the social issues, or maybe a requirement for empowerment. All these situations are there. So work with them, make them also part of this action. So in order to do that, some kind of empowerment should be given to them initially, and then only we can work with them. I am given with very less time, so I don't want to continue more. In India, we are still facing the problem of absence of a regulatory body. We are trying for that. And once we get to that, of course, the things will be more better, especially for social workers. But as on now, we are sending many hundreds of social workers to UK to work with you people over there. Okay, so make use of them, and especially from Kerala, hundreds of people are coming. I can personally, I know them because, you know, they all, at least at the last moment, they come to CAPS and take a membership for the sake of taking a registration. Till then, they may not be thinking of that. So we are sending our cream layer to UK, make use of them. And we are sure that, of course, in return, they'll be also working with all, means we should be able to work together for empowering social workers and for empowerment of our community. So, and for this particular session also, I can see many people from India. Dr. Mishad Rahman is there, Amrita is there, and many others are there. Thank you for joining this meeting. And I wish may this day remind all of us about the responsibility we all have and the competence we should enhance to work with other people, other deprived communities. Thank you for this invitation, and nice meeting you all, the leaders. We have been having many sessions like this earlier, and of course a wonderful message by I mean blessed to hear to Professor Shajahan once again after a small gap. So we'll be in touch soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Varghese. I would like to invite Bijo, our executive member, for a vote of thanks.
Hello, everyone. I am here to give our sincere thanks to Dr. INPSWA. There is a famous quote about social worker. I am only one, but I am one. I cannot do everything, but I can do something. And I will not let what I cannot do interfere with what I can do. I'm not sure whether INPSWA remember me. Around 14 years back, we worked together as part of a street play played by BMS social work student. So throughout this his social work journey and his speech, I could really understand he demonstrated what I explained to you before. The quote, it's really true. And I'm really saying my thanks to sir and all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Bijo. So next we have Isabelle Trowler, our next guest speaker. She is our Chief Social Worker for Children and Families in England. She is also the member of the National Panel for Children Safeguarding Reviews and National Stability Forum. So Isabelle has sent through a video message for our event today. So if our team could put that up, I would be very grateful. Thank you. I think there's something wrong with the audio. Could we try again, possibly?
Please bear with us. And everybody can hear what you say.
No.
Probably, do you want to check whether the volume is full or volume is dim? On the video, there is a small speaker thing at the side. Check how much is the volume.
I think it must be a problem with the Zoom link. If audio.
I slightly heard the volume, but it was very low.
Just give me a moment. Just trying to screen share one more time. To be honest, it's only 100% volume. I'm trying to.
Sheena, we still can't hear it. The audio button right at the bottom, is it up on full?
Yes, it is.
No.
Let's ask about the video.
I think Bino got it.
Sheena,
Bino got it.
Bino,
But
do you
she
want to
can't play the.
try from your end? Sheena, do you want to close it?
I'm just trying, Tumchira, just
Yeah.
few minutes. Yeah.
I think there is some problem with the link in which there is a setting. Probably you could check whether the audio settings in the link is clear.
Sorry, apologies for the delay. In the meantime, just also we would be, if we can play that video, it's a very short video anyway, maybe it's just 1 or 2 minutes, I think. Immediately after that, we would be going into the, the question and answer session. So if people have got any thoughts already, what they want to ask, we have got a panel of, experts here. Professor Shajahan is here, Dr. Varghese is here. So we can ask different questions on social work practice or share, exchange information. And also, I'm sure there is enough time. We have got maybe a few of us, if you would like to share your own personal reflections on your journey in the social work, especially, your journey, how you came to the social work profession and to what you are today. How did you come in what you are today? And if there has been any challenges in the journey, I'm sure everyone will have had the challenges, especially those people who have been here and practicing in India, especially in the light of the theme for this year. And if you would like to share that, you can be ready and be prepared. So we can go ahead with that soon.
Yes, let's give Bino a couple more minutes and see if we can get the video to work.
also to those
Apologies
who,
for the delay. The video is just downloading one more time. Just give me a couple of minutes. Thank you so much.
those who joined later on, we did explain at the beginning that we are expecting Dr. Shashi Tharoor to address us today. And as I said, unfortunately, due to circumstances that's going on in India at the moment, with the party he is in, he suddenly caught up with that, and absolutely there was no chance for him to give us an address, and therefore he has apologized and sent well wishes, and he has said that at some time in future he will come and address us. Maybe we could expect a separate address from him on its own. So apologies for that. Right. If we get a good luck, if we get the chance to see that, we can do that. But in the meantime, Arminta, maybe you can go ahead with the question and answer session, please.
No problem. Okay, for our question and answer session that we'll be moving on to, I'd kindly request Bijo, Shinoy, and Susan, our committee members, to lead the session, please. Thank you.
Araminda, can I try to start one more time?
Okay, sure.
Can you hear us?
Could you try and start it one more time? I just want to see if it's clear.
Yeah, I think
Shinoy.
we can hear, but if you can make it to the volume higher, we can hear.
Okay, thank you.
No, the audio's gone off again.
Sorry, we can't hear anymore.
Sheena, can you just start it from the beginning? I will play the.
Know me, and I will have had the privilege of meeting many of you. For those
Yes,
of you
we can.
I'm Isabelle Trowler. I'm the Chief Social Worker for Children and Families at the Department for Education. For me, there is not a more important week in the year than this one. Social Work Week offers time to step back and reflect on the dedicated, challenging work you do to help and protect those who need it most. For me, the theme of learning, connecting and influencing is an opportunity to recognise the need to build a workforce reflective of society, formed of professionals that demonstrate diversity of thought so that they can tackle the issues families face. I know right across the country that there are a number of initiatives which demonstrate innovation and will be key to achieving this, including Big Listen in London and the South East, as well as the Leadership in Colour initiative to ensure Black and Asian leaders working in children's services thrive and grow. This year has already been a big one, and it's only March. One which will see transformation for children's social care, initiated by the government to ensure children grow up in homes built on stability and love, offering families the right support so that most often children are looked after within their own families and extended kinship networks. On the 2nd of February, government launched plans to reform children's social care. Stable Homes Built on Love is an opportunity for the sector to coalesce around a shared vision for this transformation. That vision is to pivot the system to earlier, skilled, and if needed, enduring support for children and families, whilst ensuring we respond very quickly and decisively to protect children from significant harm, something I know many social workers will recognise as a much needed part of the role. And I'm pleased to see that the strategy rightly puts social workers at its heart, recognising the key role you all play on a daily basis. I know just how powerful high quality social work can be, and that is why I'm pleased to see clear commitment and investment to help improve not only recruitment into social work, but to retain the many fantastic social workers out there too. The proposals for social workers include developing an early career framework, boosting social worker recruitment through apprenticeships, and improving retention by addressing unnecessary workload pressures and supporting social workers to spend more time with families. I look forward to seeing the proposals develop further, shaped by your views, and hope we can all support these initiatives to make them as successful as they can be. So there are 3 consultations out now: Stable Homes Built on Love, our proposals to introduce national rules around the use of agency social workers, and the Children's Social Care National Framework and Dashboard. The framework has been developed by the department with the support and advice of the National Practice Group, which I chair. It describes the purpose of children's social care, the principles by which children, young people and families should be supported, and the outcomes that we should be achieved with families so that children can thrive. I really encourage all of you to get involved in these consultations and share your thoughts through government.uk. These changes will impact on social work for the next 5, 10 years and beyond. We've also seen the publication of the SEND and Alternative Provision Improvement Plan on the 2nd of March, which will take a number of key actions to improve the support we offer to children with specific needs, and includes missions to fulfil children's potential, build parents' trust, and provide financial sustainability. I am truly privileged to hold the position of Chief Social Worker alongside my colleague Lynn Romeo, and we know that social work is a profession that delivers so much for children up and down the country, and we argue hard for changes that will support children, adults and families across England. This year feels like one where we need to capitalise on the innovation of our superb, committed workforce and deliver on the ambitious vision set out by government. A huge thanks for everything you have contributed over the last year, and wishing you all the very best for the rest of 2023. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheena and Binu, for making that video to work. It was a really interesting message from Isabelle about the visions for children's social care moving forward, but also how important it is for social workers to retain their position and develop. So next we have our Q&A session. So if I could ask again for Bijo, Shinoy and Susan, our committee members, to lead the session, please. Yes, Martin, you've raised your hand.
Thank you, Araminda. Thank you, Professor Shajahan. Just a quick question in terms of thank you for explaining to us with regard to diversity, inclusion, and all associated areas of empowerment. So, you're muted.
Hello, sorry.
Hello, are you able to hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you, Susan.
Okay.
Yes. So if we could just start with the Q&A session.
Okay, yeah.
And Martin, you still have your hand raised. Is everything okay?
Yeah, Martin, please.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Professor Shajahan, for explaining to us with regard to diversity, inclusion, empowerment, or related areas of social work and social action. My question is, in India, when you actually try to embrace and sell the very concept of diversity and empowerment within the community as a social action, what are the main challenges you come across? Do you face challenges from social groups, community groups, politicians, or X or Y? If so, what are they?
Okay.
Well, yeah, am I expected to answer now, or how do we go?
Yeah, you could answer it now.
All right, okay, yeah, thank you. Thank you, Martin, for that question. As all of us know, the challenges for social work and collective action, particularly looking at diversity. One of the critical issue which we come across as social workers, INPSWA has mentioned about we do not have a council to regulate what kind of work is social work. And sometimes it works in our favor, sometimes most of the time it doesn't work in our favor. So one of the issues that what are the things which we can actually get engaged with? Is it, when I was talking about manual scavenging, is it that something which as social workers we are expected to do, or somebody else should do that? The second question, and then what will be the role social workers should be doing? Should be doing providing necessary services? Should be providing alternate livelihoods? What are we trying to talk about? Because the issue which we are talking about in terms of diversity are much complex. It's not a very, very straight issue which we can actually work upon. One is there are social relational issues, there are identity conflicts which exist, there are political groups which works probably in favor of some groups and not in favor of some groups. There are always, like Amartya Sen says, it's we are argumentative Indians. So we have an argument on everything. But at the end of the day, what we as social workers, to me, what is important for us to engage is that we look at the community or the people as at the center of action. So when we do that, we have an engagement which looks at reducing their vulnerabilities. When I was talking about Coastal Road project, the Coastal Road project could have gone with some compensation to be given to the people. But we insisted that while giving the compensation, financial compensation, that alone will be sufficient. You need to ensure that the situation of fisher folk is improved by improving the jetty, the fishing harbor, improving the conditions there, providing other ancillary services in terms of transport, in terms of providing diesel services, or providing or other, maybe having an ice factory. All of those things are ancillary issues. So we look at the problem from multiple perspectives, not necessarily looking at it's a manifestation of the problem. So the challenges in this is that one, probably there are multiple interest groups which will be working. How well we are able to work. This particular project is a very clear example that I don't think in India, any compensation package is acceptable to the implementing organization and the people affected by the project. This is one of the projects where the fishing community has completely accepted our proposal. That was made possible just because of continuous dialogue with them. They, in the first meeting when we presented, they said that this is missing, there is something else, and these people are going to be having longer term impact. Then we did another round of interaction with them and tried to understand what they are talking about. We incorporated that. Now we have a compensation policy which the government is going to adopt, and that becomes much more amenable. So the challenges come from multiple ways, but our approach is a multi-stakeholder, multi-layered interactions, which will make us possible to work around this. If you look for problems, there will be hundreds of problems, hundreds of barriers, but there are ways to handle it. It's complex, but possible.
Thank you, Shajahan sir. It was really helpful. Any other burning questions?
we have only limited time, so it will be helpful if you could. Yeah, yes, please. Oh, you got another question?
I'll go for another one, Professor Shajahan. I don't know whether it is actually related to the topic we are discussing today, but it has some significance, I believe. What do you think about the extent of use of self-help groups among the socially or economically people who are economically background communities or etc.?
Well, see, anything to do with self-help is always good. That's the basis of social work engagement anyways. But there has to be a critical view about some such engagements as well. The reason why I'm saying this is that there are a lot of self-help groups which are being opened since mid-80s. A lot of self-help groups have been started in communities. Now, many of the self-help groups limits their activities to thrifts, savings, and a little bit of smart micro activities. Now, what happened is that when I worked with different communities and interacted with a lot of communities in different parts of the country, these self-help groups have started working in their areas, but the people who are promoting this are not encouraging them to go and participate in the Gram Sabhas. I'm talking about rural India. If you make them work with the small objective, small goal of this micro savings and micro credit activities, they will become domesticated. They will become very happy with what they are doing. But the larger issues of domestic violence, alcoholism, education, health, and even political participation in Gram Sabhas, this becomes the casualty. So one needs to be very clear that when we are talking about the third pillar, which I was talking about, along with empathy, equity, empowerment. Empowerment is not just financial empowerment. It is political empowerment. It is emotional empowerment. It is cultural empowerment. All of these things has to be considered. So self-help group can provide a platform. That self-help group itself is not sufficient. You need to have a vision of a larger goal of people becoming empowered politically, socially, culturally, economically. Then self-help group can be active agent of change.
Hi, Professor Shajahan. There is one question for you from Nico. What do you think about the recent NEP policy? Is it going to help to the social work education in any way? Thank you.
All right. Sorry. Recently we had a conference in Lucknow on NEP and its possibilities. Predominantly, we were looking at school complexes. So NEP, National Education Policy, provides an excellent opportunity for social workers to engage with education system per se. Particularly, school counselors are going to be very important. There is a concept called school complexes. School complexes are, because these small schools are not going to be viable, many schools in a locality will come together and share certain kind of, resources and all. In those school complexes, social workers are expected to be playing a significant role as counselors, as social workers, school social workers. So NEP provides for that. But at the same time, in terms of what will be those statutory positions social workers occupy is not still clear. But without these things coming in Uttar Pradesh, where I went in for this conference, Uttar Pradesh has already implemented a program called, there is something called DIET, District Institution Education Training Institution, District Institution for Education and Training. These DIETs are places where training of teachers and all are expected to happen. And these DIETs have created one social work educator in that. So the Uttar Pradesh government has implemented this. Now, there are multiple opportunities. And considering that community engagement and this idea of school complexes are very central to school education in NEP, it provides opportunities. But when a government official from Uttar Pradesh was saying that all the 40 plus diets where the social workers are being employed, now they say that we don't have any work. We have been appointed as teachers in diet, but we have no work. But that cannot be the situation. The situation, there are opportunities, whether it is provided through NEP or otherwise, we need to ensure that the social workers have a significant role. If there is no clear role carved out, why can't social workers create their own space? And we cannot just wait for everything to come. So I think NEP provides a very, very interesting possibility and opportunity, but social workers need to grab it, and we need to create a space for ourselves. Quite often we expect the government to provide you the job description and then we will do it. I don't think social change can happen in that way. It has to be inherently, organically developed.
Thank you, Shajahan sir. Did
Can
you
you,
also raise this hand?
Can I add one point?
Yeah.
I fully agree with Professor Shajahan. And in the practice side, NEP is giving wonderful opportunities for social workers. And of course, it is our duty to grab it and make use of it effectively. At the same time, in the education sector, the impact of NEP will be clear maybe after a few years. Because, you know, as on now in India, there are around 550 social work institutions, means regular training program. And in the distance program offered by IGNOU, that is separate. So in this 550, at least more than 400 institutions are offering only masters in social work. That's a 2 years program, we all know. And most of us have undergone that same personally. Now, NEP provides a new system for the UG, that is 4 years UG program, the so-called BSW. So when it is becoming 4 years program, there is a kind of free entry exit. So a person after completing 1 year, he may be given a certificate, then a diploma, something like that. So how it will affect the social work profession and how we will be able to, consume those, people who have just undergone 1 year or 2 year, that's a question mark, that's a challenge. Maybe we will be able to get an answer in the sooner future. And another point is, when a person
shall we really sorry about that, shall we not to ask tailgating questions, because people who are listening, probably it might be more clear to them if we could ask in kind of one context of the question, and then it will be answered. And also we need to give the opportunity for kind of other people engaging as well. Yeah, so shall we answer the first half of your question, then we could move over to the second half. Is that all right, Shajahan sir?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Yeah. I think anything. So questions, whatever comes in, is fine. Yeah. So I think I have answered the question, and then Professor Aib has actually added to that. Yeah, sure.
I think we have 2 hands raised.
He raised his hand.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. It's a great opportunity. I'm Gigi Joseph. I'm a consultant social worker for last 12 years. I've been in here for 20 years, and I extensively worked in India as well, and in Delhi. It's been a great privilege to see this, to extinguish, it is distinguished, personalities from TIS as well as from Kerala, the IPSWA as well joining in this wonderful day of social work celebrations. I think, they talked about the diversity, and I think when the UK as such is talking through lots of diversity and Black Lives Matters and other elements, so I think the challenges it is not just a question, it's just a sort of a complementary discussion we had, and just sharing of knowledge. And we talked about 2 of the guest speakers spoke about the diversity in India. And I think it's a because of that diversity, because I had as a practitioner, I worked in Butterflies Institution, working children, worked in drug de-addiction center before I moved to UK, and it won't be setting up lots of projects with UNICEF, Save the Children Alliances, and also a banking project I was involved in setting up. One of the biggest challenge I have seen while working there, and IPSWA and Shajahan sir also said about the challenges of a regulatory body, being in a bigger, largest democracy, high levels of population, And it is good to see there is a high levels of social work institutions. When we were looking for social work institutions, I think it was only 3 courses at the time in Kerala, and we had to travel many other states. It is good that there is lots of institutions happening, but one of the biggest challenge I found is the social lack of recognition of social work, in politics, in other other missionaries as well, because the social workers doesn't have that professional integrity or a recognition, and also the impact of the corruption, and I think even the projects when I was working, even getting resources in grassroots level projects, so some of the funding agencies, even the government missionaries and the funds goes is corrupted, and reaching out to grassroots level can be quite challenging. And I think that is, there are lots of organizations who are doing work, but obviously that is the effective intervention is not able to be happening. So is it your experience, or because obviously I left 20 years, so is that Shajahan sir, I've sir, there are good to see that there are lots of self-help groups and NGOs and agencies happening. Is there is changes happening because of the development happening in India of social changes, or so social workers are more recognized?
INPSWA, you want to go or should I?
Please carry on, sir.
Okay, quickly, I think it's a very long
yeah, it is, sorry, yeah.
explanation, but the point which you are talking about, regulatory bodies, recognition, integrity, corruption, so these are very, very serious issues. But to me, I think one of the biggest problem with Indian social work education is about the quality of education. We have 500 educational institutions, 500 plus educational institutions. I can, with very high level of confidence, I can say that you have handful of organizations where actual fieldwork is taken seriously. Fieldwork is the critical component of social work education. And there are many hundreds of institutions which does not provide necessary fieldwork training or fieldwork, supervised fieldwork training, which gives necessary skills and skills, attitudes, everything which we are talking about is coming through social work, fieldwork training. So that's one of the issues. So the quality of social work education, maybe it might come through the regulatory bodies. If it comes to that, if a council comes in, it might regulate. But as you're rightly saying, corruption could also enter into that, because the moment you have a regulatory body, you come with a big power, and it becomes a white elephant as well. Some of us who are not 100% convinced about the council is also talking about this possibility of corruption. And multiple interests getting played in any council, be it medical council, bar council, pharmaceutical council, rehabilitation council of India, any council is ridden with all these kind of politics. So that apart, I think the social work education, quality of social work education is a key issue, because of which we are not able to probably influence the government as well. What social workers will do when 40 plus social workers were sitting in diets in UP, and they say that they don't have work, it's absolutely a wrong message which we are giving. We created a position, but the people who are occupying the position, they think that they have no work. They are sitting idle. Can a social worker sit idle? There are multiple things one can do. The social workers have to be self-driven. They need to be, armed with their skills and knowledge and ability to influence social policies. That comes from your training and your practice experience. So regulatory bodies can provide some, kind of a situation, but that's not sufficient. There are multiple factors which is ailing social work education in India, which all of these things, compliance and everything you will do that when you travel abroad and start working. But in India, you will not do. You become complacent with the system and conditions. Sorry, being a little strong on that view.
But that's helpful, because I think there is changes happening. So but obviously changes are slow.
Yeah.
Vishal has raised his hand.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you. Professor P.K. Shajahan, my question was in relation to the social work education in India. Specifically, do you think, do you see as as an academician who is part of an eminent institution like TESS for a long time, in your engagement, looking at the current situations in India, social work practice in India, do you see any kind of trends in the inflow of students uh, in the social work course? And what are the challenges that you observe? This is something which I would like to explore. Thank you.
I could, talk about TISS, but, that's might not be representative of all the institutions in the country, because, we get probably the so-called cream of, students, and we get, we have certain kind of resources which other institutions might not have. But at the same time, I see that, the kind of students, the admission process which we are having, only 4% of the people are applied to institute TISS get admission to the programs in TISS. So that's the situation. So you have a large number of applicants, out of which we have to select, people based on their interest and motivation and everything. So we get a good, lot. But at the same time, something which we are seeing different in TISS, I cannot say this for other institutions, is that it's not only from social sciences students are coming. Large number of engineers are coming. People who are from commerce are coming into social work. People who have worked in, probably IT sector for 3 years, 5 years, disappointed with the situation, and they wanted to do something, contribute to the society. Large number of people are coming in. Lawyers coming in, other, professions. People are not only coming from social sciences. In a way, that's a good trend, that social work, some people are driven by passion and joining. Some people are coming to TISS just for the name of TISS degree. They apply for the kind of a, like shopping they do. There are multiple programs. You apply for one of the program is social work. There are a few students coming in. But I think education institutions have a big role to play. We get all these kind of people, but we were happy that at the end of the day, large number of people could change their perspectives, could bring in a different perspective to their life, to their profession, to their personal and professional conduct. So in that sense, I think training plays a significant role. Who comes to this is one element of it, but what kind of person who you are sending out of the institution is very, very important. What kind of training you do, what kind of value orientations you give, what kind of broader perspective of understanding social issues you give, that's going to be very critical. In that sense, social work educators have a huge responsibility. I include myself, we are not doing enough to ensure that that kind of value base is instilled, that kind of orientations are given, where students get a kind of a, they get, some of them really get transformed, I can tell you. Really get transformed. They come with certain kind of perspective. They have not seen poverty at all in their life, in their neighborhood. Now they come and work with the communities, and they want to work, continue to work there. So you have an opportunity to change their perspective. You have an opportunity to reorient them, unlearn, relearn, de-learn, whatever. So it's our responsibility. And also as probably practitioners also play a significant role, because much of them goes to the practitioners for field training. So how do they orient them is also playing a significant role. Yeah, sorry for that long answer.
Thank you.
No, thank you, Shajahan sir. It's been really useful. And I'm really sorry, I'm sorry about before conversation. Actually, I was a bit mistaken as well. So actually, I was monitoring the time and length, and I couldn't see that overlapping conversation. I'm really sorry about that. I saw. Okay. Yeah. So who is next? Is Thomas?
If I can, just to, it's a question maybe it's more relevant to Kerala, when although it is relevant to India, but it's more relevant to Kerala. I don't know, maybe Professor Isabelle can come in as well to give a bit more clarification to it. Now we have seen there is a big change in Kerala, in society in Kerala, especially with youngsters moving out of Kerala, seeking employment and abroad, and we are having a increasing population of older people or older generation becoming, and who is becoming dependent on onto the society for their care and well-being. So we can see there is many more institutions, like we call it old age homes, or the terms we use here, maybe nursing homes or care homes coming up. And it's going to be a fact. It is going to happen. We can't stop it. That's a reality. And of course, it may move to other states in India as well, but at the moment it's more into Kerala. So looking at the future of that, we have got here some legislations to protect vulnerable people. Of course, those who are going into those situations are very vulnerable, even more vulnerable than, I would say, adults who are going into a nursing or care home here, because at least they have got their families around, visiting them sometimes, and seeing if they are okay. But in the case of our parents, back in Kerala, many of them may not have anybody at all there. Their children are all out. They may be coming for a holiday once in a way. So what mechanisms or what you could do to persuade the government to come up with maybe legislations for the future in order to protect them, to ensure they are safe as well. We all think they are safe, but we don't know what is going on exactly. So we have got something here, a powerful thing called safeguarding, which is a responsibility of the government, safeguard the vulnerable people. So one is that, and also we have got something called a Care Quality Commission here, who do regular inspections of the care homes or the nursing homes, and to ensure it is run safely and they are all up to date. So is there anything that you think from the social work world we could do to influence the government to to ensure that the vulnerable people are safe there?
Yeah, thank you, Thomas Joseph, for this question. As you said in between, even we don't think that it's all good here, it's all safe, these people are safe. But considering some of the recent developments, the government has started thinking, and they have taken this particular point very seriously. There is no doubt in that. Some of the recent initiatives, it's not that recent, but the one is palliative care. Okay, to look after the, those who are really bedridden, irrespective of their age. So this is applicable to all age. That is happening, and there is a multidisciplinary team. Okay, they are functioning. Maybe they visit these people once in a week or so as per the requirement. That is one. But the tragedy is that we can't compare the situation of UK, or it very well, with the Indian situation, because we don't have a social welfare, kind of thing. Means for the protection of not only elderly, for any people. There may be some kind of pension schemes which is applicable only for a very low percentage of the population. Maybe some farmers are getting, some widows are getting, or some other people. But this social security system or social welfare system for all elderly, that should be made compulsory. And we have, of course, we are also to the very, very best possible, we are also reminding the government about this one, but they say it is not that easy. Another point where social workers' involvement is likely to be there. Now the government has started thinking about appointing one social worker in every panchayat. Okay, of course the intervention by our social work institution also is, that is a point to be noted, because as part of their field work in the first semester or second semester, the people are sent to the panchayat, and they do a comparatively good job from many institutions, if they get a correct supervision from their teachers. So their work has been recognized by these panchayat people, and in many panchayat, from their local fund, by taking from their local fund, they pay and they employ some of the social workers in their panchayat. And the government has recently announced also that they are planning to, appoint a social worker in every panchayat. But fund is the main constraint for government also. if these things are coming up, there should be, what we feel is that, what our association also feel, that there should be an examination by the social workers in each and every household, especially in the case of elderly, because in many of the houses are lying empty. That is one thing. Secondly, the thinking of our Malayalis, like consuming money, when consuming in the sense accumulation of wealth. That was one agenda for the Malayali people in the past, and they have accumulated wealth for the next 3-4 generations, and this present generation do not want this. Those who have gone out and settled outside, they are not at all asking for the wealth of their parents. So these parents are, now transferring this wealth to their religious organizations and all those things. Okay, so that is also happening. So social workers can surely intervene in these aspects, and they can one-to-one in a case, they can study the situation of this elderly people and plan intervention. That is very important. So we are also forcing, reminding the government about creating a lot of similar programs in our, especially in Kerala situation. I'm happy that you are also thinking on the same lines, even though you are in a different country, because you people may be thinking, and of course this is a serious consideration for them, and technology is doing a very good role in this one. Recently there are many incidents where you people are really watching what is happening way back in your own homes by putting the cameras on. Even recently, 2 weeks before, one of my cousin, he has called me from Dubai, and he told me there is some unknown person standing in front of their house. Okay, I didn't know, because that house is just near to me, but they're watching. So this technology is also doing a good part. I don't know, but that is not a permanent solution for this one. Of course, the government intervention is very much required, and we will do our best. That much only I can say now. Thank you for raising this question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There is a question. There is a question from Araminda.
Okay. All right. Do you feel student social work in Kerala needs to liaise more with social work students in the UK, or practicing UK social workers to support their professional development? I think there is a tremendous opportunity. But one of the very important thing is that a lot of such networks are happening, but most of the interaction which is happening, I can say this with some level of confidence, that much of the interactions between social work students and social workers in UK is happening how to reach there, how to migrate. So rather than probably professional development, I think that has to come from organizations like yours. I think UK Malayali Social Workers Forum, I think, has a great role to play. I think we need to tell people that those who want to come, please come, but don't consider this, the new approaches to the client safety, or client, self-determination. Those are all of those kind of things which are at high standard in UK. So those kind of things need to be communicated. Those kind of some sessions to aspiring social workers, maybe in colleges. I'm sure INPSWA can actually do a lot of things in this, in Kerala particularly. With CAPS, a lot of such programs can happen. I think before they graduate, we should work with them. In the colleges, when they are studying for the social work program, if social workers from UK INPSWA Forum can actually engage with them and tell them about professional ethics, about professional standards, about code of ethics, which they might think is not very relevant, but it is at the core of social work practice. Some of these things are extremely relevant. So they should get these kind of inputs. My feeling is that we need to do work a little earlier in the time when they are students, and when the receptivity is much more. Because once you graduate, your aim is to either to migrate to UK, Canada, or Australia or somewhere.
Shall I add one point? Since it is pertaining to Kerala, I must say something. Yeah, like, one of the problem in Kerala is the social workers many of the social workers do not feeling that they are part of a profession, because since the absence of a regulatory body, and as Shajahan sir also before mentioned, just as a stream or just as one PG program like anything else, most of the teachers are also considering like this. That is the tragedy in one point. I always remind my students, even though there is no regulatory body in India, you can't say that social work is not a profession. You can't say that social work is not a profession, because it is internationally recognized as a profession. And since we do not have a regulatory body, we can't say like that. So behave like a professional. Okay, even when you are a student or a trainee, behave like a professional. That is very important. And that type of training should be, given to all the students also. And I request all the members of this UK Social Work Forum here, whenever you visit Kerala, you at least find one day to visit at least one social work institution, have a tie-up with them, and visit there and share some of your thoughts there. That will really help you a lot, means help us a lot. Okay, so one day may be very precious for you. You may be coming for a week holiday, but at least for the sake of our own people, our own Kerala, you must visit at least one institution. Another problem is like 90% of the social work institutions are of self-financing in nature, and the teachers are also less paid. The profession of teaching requires a 24 hours engagement, nearly 24 hours engagement. And if they're not benefited out of that to that extent, then it may be very difficult for them. That is also a challenge. Okay. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That gives us a real insight. Definitely, we should be proactive part of contributing to our education, social work education in Kerala as well. Yeah. So CP sir raised his hand for a last question. So I think probably we will wind up with this last question. Is that all right? Otherwise, anyone has any burning question? Yeah, please go ahead, CP.
Mute. Can you hear me, please?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Respected Shajahan sir and INPSWA sir and our beloved chairperson. Our chairperson Thomas asked a very valid question. It is mainly regarding the situation of older people in Kerala. Recently, I spent 1 month in Kerala. This is a serious issue because actually we need a program to slow down the progression of the difficulties of the old age instead of going to 24-hour care or care home. So we definitely need a joint working with if chairperson is interested with the social work UK INPSWA forum and some institution. INPSWA is not lots of institution and he also got lots of resources. We need some joint study or joint initiatives to help the older people, because the thing is that recently I visited one home. Then the father figure is in bed with incontinence issue, but the children are waiting for nurses to come or some doctors to come. The children hasn't got the empathy. This is his father is on the feces and the urine. This is a sad situation. They are waiting for somebody. We need some basic understanding what we need. Also, every family sending their children to foreign countries, they want to dispose their land. This is another issue. Also another issue is the housing situation, because majority of the older people got a big two-storied houses. There is no proper adaptation or anything, lots of risk in the toilet and all these things. So I want Thomas take some initiative with INPSWA sir and Shajahan sir. Also, the last thing I want to conclude that I don't know, when you are recruiting children to social work course, because is there any criteria whether they got the empathy, they got the talent to become a social worker, whether they are the ambassador for the social worker, they are coming to this profession only for money or helping the humanity. So is there any criteria in Kerala or in India? And Shajahan sir, I am asking to scrutinize the children. That's also I need to know what your answer. Thank you very much.
Just a quick answer to this. One is this elderly issues of elderly. I think it's an extremely relevant issue. My suggestion is that we have certain kind of standards in UK, particularly for the care for the elderly and all. So these standards and the kind of analysis of issues and what kind of support is needed. We have I think in Kerala we have a scheme called Vayo Riksha scheme. The government has started a special scheme for elderly. That's only for medical support and things like that. It's not talking about the issue of empathy, issue of family responsibilities, issue of generating this kind of a collective social responsibility of individuals in taking care of the elderly. So I think what is needed is that one, care and protection services in UK and the standards which you have. I think we need to work with the government to bring certain social policies to ensure that those standards are maintained. It's not about just providing, you have a number 1447 or something like that. You can just dial and the police will come. Janamaitri police station is not where the elderly people would like to go or raise their complaints. It is not the police. It is about the kind of support mechanism they have, the kind of what basic standards. If there is an elderly person living alone, what should be the responsibility of the children to ensure certain basic services. You cannot have a elderly living in a house where the movement from the bedroom to the bathroom is having multiple probably barriers and obstructions, and thereby putting the person into danger. So can we have certain kind of standards of this? So these standards are quite available in UK and many other parts. I think we need to compile documents related to standards for care and protection of elderly and prepare a document, say that anybody who is leaving behind the children, the elderly parents abroad and going abroad must ensure these standards are met. And that becomes a legally liable kind of an issue. You cannot just say that 5 kilometers away, the brother is living, so they will come and look after. No, it doesn't happen. It has to be the responsibility of the children to ensure that their parents are in safe conditions. So the safety, care and protection guidelines, I think we should work with the government to develop some of those things, because this is a serious issue. Every village has at least maybe 50% of the households are having only elderly people in their house, and the children are all abroad. So I think INPSWA Forum could take this as a challenge, that we take this particular idea that take care and protection of elderly and the standards required for it and the responsibilities on the children, community, police, medical systems. If there is a medical hospital, they should be specially instructed that if there is an issue with an elderly person in their jurisdiction, it has to be a social responsibility of the hospital to ensure that their needs are immediately met, and they are sending an ambulance if there is a need for any support immediately required. So there has to be a network of institutions, both state as well as NGO institutions, to come together and provide a safety net for elderly in the state. I think that will be very interesting to work on.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Just to add on, to say that, definitely, I mentioned in the beginning, one of the plans is INPSWA is to give back to the community as well, to the society. I think this is one of the opportunities we can discuss, which we are going to be discussing, about how we support both the society within UK, and also we have got a responsibility, or a moral responsibility, at least I would put it, to support back people in Kerala as well, how we work together. And of course, it's a good idea. We can see how INPSWA can work with, we can provide with the knowledge, information, but in order to put it practice back in Kerala, we may need support from you, people like you yourself, who are working on the ground there. So we will definitely be in touch with.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you all for participating in the Q&A session, and to our guest speakers as well for taking the time to answer these questions. We're going to slowly wind up now, so if I could invite Martin to provide the final message, please.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you. I feel very privileged and so humbled as well to be part of this INPSWA forum. More than ever, great pleasure to be part of this great celebration of social work. I think it is a time to actually celebrate our achievements, also share knowledge in terms of what we go through as a professional, also to understand the implications of our profession into some in-depth concepts. And I think we have actually managed to cover a very relevant and significant topic today, which is diversity, embracing inclusion, empowering people, well-being. We just got, very many strands of empathy, equity, person-centered approach, collective action, joint social action, imparting, sharing knowledge, social innovation. I think it is all very relevant and very pleased. Okay, we share the same values, whether we are in UK or in India. The only difference I see is UK being a welfare state. Here at home in the UK, we may have a very developed social work profession as a recognized recognized under the professional body, under which we are registered and practice as social workers. Whereas in India, I know of Professor Varghese, Dr. INPSWA, you are actually working towards this achievement. And I'm sure you will achieve, you will reach where you are in terms of your effort. But again, this is a great opportunity for us to come together, share our knowledge, and then discuss very vibrant issues. And let me take this opportunity to thank Professor Shajahan for taking the time to actually be with us and giving us the keynote message today with regard to diversity and inclusion, social innovation, on what impact it can have in the community where we work with. Also, what challenges we come across. So thank you for your learned talk and the message for this day. We highly appreciate your input today. Thank you very much, Professor Shajahan. Let me also take this opportunity to thank Dr. Varghese, who we have been associating for a period of time, few years now, with UK INPSWA Forum. And as I said before, I am aware Professor Varghese is also putting so much of his effort being part of the India Network of Social Workers Professional Social Workers Association, which is an umbrella organization for 6 different social work associations in India. One of which is CAPS, which is also very much associated with Professor INPSWA. And thank you for all your effort in terms of trying to recognize social work as a great profession back in your country. And your effort will not go in vain. And I'm sure even if there is a political resistance for this to happen, I'm 100% sure your determination and goodwill with yourself and with hundreds of similar-minded people will reach you in the show you want to reach. So, but again, if there are opportunities for us to get involved, I'm sure we can be part of it and will be happy and willing to coordinate or cooperate with you in your journey to recognize social work as a great profession back in India. And thank you for your message today to us and being part and also being part of this great celebration today. Thank you, Dr. INPSWA. Let me also take this opportunity to actually thank Isabelle Trowler, who is also the Chief Social Worker for Children's and Family Social Work profession in England. Even if she had been unable to, she has been unable to actually participate in person, she actually kindly gave us a message by video, and which also covered the significance of safety of children and family in the UK, and what steps and measures being actually adopted going forward in the next few years as part of the government vision in order to make and to have a family approach while looking after supporting children and families in the UK, especially in England. And let me take this opportunity to thank on behalf of the forum to Isabelle Trowler for a great time in imparting the message for us today by video. Even if we have been unable to actually have the great presence of Dr. Shashi Tharoor today, we fully understand the significance of his time and the need for him to be in India. But again, thank you. Let me take this opportunity to actually thank Dr. Shashi Tharoor for his well wishes for this forum. But we hope and feel and wish that he will be able to join with us one day in the future. I also take this opportunity to thank the Executive Committee of UK MSW Forum. As I mentioned before, we had actually started this forum since 2014, and we are making success by success, progress by progress as we move forward. Okay, there have been many committees who had been part of this forum in the past, and all of those committees had made their mark at the relevant times in the manner it was befitting to the organization at the time. And without any doubts, the present executive committee is also trying to achieve what we would like to achieve and putting all the effort to make sure we are on a journey to achieve the aim we would like to achieve. And great effort had been taken place in order to organize this function today. So thank you to the executive committee for organizing this. And I should especially mention the effort put in by Binu Hari, PRO, in terms of the finding and organizing the guest resources today. It is not an easy job to find actually to get relevant and important key speakers for any event. But I'm very pleased that Binu Hari has found her effort very successful. And also, let me also mention Michelle also to this, because he has also been working with Binu Hari in order to actually find guest resources, also to make necessary arrangements for the great success of this day. So my heartfelt thanks to all the executive members, which is led by Thomas Joseph, especially to Binu Hari and Vishal. So well done, every one of you. Let me also thank all of you who have been part of this session today. Whether you are from the UK, whether you are practicing as a social worker in the UK, whether you are a student who is doing social work courses in the UK, whether you are an aspirant of a social work career, whether in the UK or in India, thank you for your time. And this shows your commitment and your determination towards this profession, wherever you may be. And to be honest, this is not an easy job. To be catalyst for social change, to be the innovators for social change, to be the forerunners in order to evolve social policies is not an easy job. And again, it has got its own challenges. It has got its own ambitions. It has got its own targets. But again, unless you are hardworking, fully dedicated and committed, we cannot reach anywhere. And it is your passion more than ever, which is needed in order to make Social Work Day celebration better, colorful, or as ever. And again, let me also thank each and every one of us who are gathered today, and also who had been actually hoping to be with us, but had to change their plans at the last minute due to one or other reasons. So thank you very much, everybody, for making all the effort to be with us, for your time, your effort, and your participation, your commitment. All very well recognized, acknowledged. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Martin, and thank you everyone for taking part in our event, and to all the guest speakers. So we are now winding down this session, but please do come to our next CPD event session that Thomas had mentioned in the beginning. And yes, thank you all and have a lovely rest of the day.
Thank you, IPSWA. Thank you, Shajahan.
Thanks everybody.
Thank you all. Thank you.
soon.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Just give a couple of minutes. A lot of people needs to be exit from the meeting. Thank you. Please stop.